Hi everyone. In this video I'm going to be ranking NFL teams in their respective division with 2024 season approaching only a couple months away. I thought this would be a good idea. So I'm going to start in the NFC and specifically the NFC East. I think the first place winner of this division will be the Philadelphia Eagles. So in this division there's never a back-to-back winner, a repeat winner. So the Cowboys won it last year, so I don't think they'll win it again this year. I don't think the Commanders or the Giants have enough to do it this year either. I think it will be the Eagles. They won the division 2 years ago, and they won the conference 2 years ago. They were in the Super Bowl, and they added Saquon Barkley on offense, so I think they'll be improved on offense. I don't think they'll collapse like they did last season. They have a new offensive coordinator. They still got good players on defense like Darius Slay, and they added C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I think the second place team in the NFC East will be the Dallas Cowboys. They didn't make any major moves in the offseason, I don't think. They didn't really make any improvements. They lost Tony Pollard and they added Ezekiel Elliott. So I think running back will be a question mark for the Cowboys and players wanting contracts. I still think they'll be good for a potential wild card team. And then the third place team in this NFC East division, I think it will be the Washington Commanders. I like who they drafted. I like that they drafted Jaden Daniels. I think he'll be a really good player in the NFL. They added Austin Eckler at running back. So I think the offense will be improved. They added Bobby Wagner on defense, if I'm not mistaken. So some good improvements for the Commanders. So I think they'll get out of the bottom cellar of the NFC slowly but surely. And then I think the Giants will be in last place in the division, the NFC East. Darren Waller retired. I know they drafted a receiver, Neighbors. Daniel Jones is solid. I just don't see enough firepower on the offense. They added Brian Burns on defense. I think that's a good acquisition. I think the defense will be okay. I don't think they'll be good enough to compete with the other teams in the NFC. They lost Saquon Barkley, who was like one of their best players for a very long time. He was the guy that was making it go, I feel like. That's my take on the NFC East. Moving on to the NFC North. I'll be watching this division closer than the other divisions since I'm from Michigan and I'm a Detroit Lions fan. So I was really excited when they won the division last year. So I think they'll win it again this year. I think they'll be the first place team in the NFC North when it's all said and done. They're bringing back pretty much the same offense, same quarterback, same running backs, same receivers, same offensive line. The offense was with a couple differences, pretty much the same. But I think it was such a strong offense this year. I see no reason why it won't be a strong offense. I mean, it was a strong offense last year. I see no reason why it won't be a strong offense this year. The defense, I think they addressed a lot of the concerns from last year in the secondary. They brought in Carlton Davis, and they drafted some cornerbacks. So I think they'll be improved on defense. I like this team a lot. I'm super excited for the season. I think the second place team in the NFC North will be the Green Bay Packers. They were really good last year. I think they'll be really good this year. I'm thinking another wild card spot for them. They added Josh Jacobs at running back. That's a really strong acquisition. But they did lose Aaron Jones, so it's sort of like an equal thing, like as far as losing a player, adding a player. And they still got some stars on defense, like Kenny Clark and Jair Alexander. I don't think they'll be able to overcome the Lions this year. And then the third place team in this division I have is the Chicago Bears. It's a brand new offense. They drafted Caleb Williams with the first pick overall, so I think he'll be a really good player as well. They added DeAndre Swift. They added Keenan Allen. It's a brand new team. I think they'll be good. I think they'll be strong competitors. This is a really tough division. It's a new defense as well. They drafted Also a wide receiver, Roma Dunze, in the first round. So it's a brand new team. I don't think, even with these awesome acquisitions, I don't think the Bears will be able to pass the Packers or the Lions. And in last place for the division will be the Minnesota Vikings. They lost Kirk Cousins. I don't know who's going to play quarterback, Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy. They still have Justin Jefferson, who may be the best player in the division. But the defense, I think it's brand new. I mean, Harrison Smith will be the leader. I just don't see this team competing at a high level this year. Just too many question marks. Not enough firepower to compete with the other big boys in the division. With that being said, I'm going to move on to the NFC South. This was a hard division to predict. I know that the Falcons are the betting favorites in Vegas, and a lot of people are picking the Falcons. I don't think they'll win the division this year. My first place team is going to be the same team that won it last year. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will win it again. It's a similar team coming back. They got Mayfield, Evans, and Godwin on offense, keeping that same core. And then on defense, it's a similar core with Vita Vea, Levante David, and Antoine Winfield. So my whole thinking is if they're bringing back the team that won it last year with similar players, I don't see no reason why they can't win it again. When the other teams in the division, I don't feel like did enough to address the needs that they have. Moving on to the second place team in the division, I think it's going to be the New Orleans Saints. They were okay last year. I think they'll be okay this year. They still have some good players on offense like Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave. They got vets on defense, Tyrann Mathieu, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis. I think that will be good enough for second place. I don't think they'll be in the playoffs or anything like that. I still think this is one of the weakest divisions in football. The third place team in this division, I think, will be the Atlanta Falcons. I know that they added Kirk Cousins, but I mean, he's a good player. He puts up good numbers, but I don't think that anyone on the offense is proven. The players may get a lot of hype, like Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London. I don't think those guys are proven. They haven't made enough plays. They haven't scored enough. So I don't know what will change just by adding Kirk Cousins. And the defense, Grady Jarrett is the one star. I don't see anyone else like being that much of a plus player. I don't think the Falcons will be that good of a team this year. I think they'll be solid. And then the last place team in this division, I think this is an obvious one. I think it's going to be the Carolina Panthers. They didn't even have a first-round draft pick. It's a similar team, minus one of their best players, Brian Burns. So even if they're improved, I think this might as well be the worst team in the NFL, honestly, even if they're improved. Okay, so now I'm moving on to the last team in the NFC West. So this is another instance where I don't think the betting favorite's going to win. I think the team that's going to win this division in the first place team will be the Los Angeles Rams. I think the offense is very formidable with Matt Stafford, and I think Cooper Kupp will come back from injury strong, and Puka Nacua is going to follow up his rookie season. That was great with another great season, I think. I know they lost Aaron Donald, but I think the defense will be okay. I think Sean McVay is a really great coach, and I think those guys will win it this year. And in second place, I have the Arizona Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray coming back from injury, I think he'll be motivated to perform. And they drafted Marvin Harrison Jr., who I think will be a great player. I really don't know much about the D, but I think this will be the number 2 team. The reason I have the San Francisco 49ers at third is because I think they'll suffer from the Super Bowl hangover. It happened to them in the past when they played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl and lost to them, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago. They didn't follow up with a good season. I don't know if Brock Purdy will be able to follow up his good play from last season to this season. It's pretty much the same team. There wasn't really many acquisitions or losses, but I just think they're going to suffer from the hangover. I think they'll be third. And then I think the Seahawks will be the last place team in the NFC West. They lost their head coach, which I think was a mistake. I mean, I think he was fueling their good performances from last season. It's the same D. I don't think the D's that good. The defense will be weak. It's a similar offense, but I think Smith and those guys will only take them so far. Now I'm going to move on to the AFC. And I'm going to move on to the AFC East first. So I think the Bills will be the first place team, the Buffalo Bills. Again, they've won the division for the past how many ever years. I think they're going to win again this year. I think Josh Allen could be the MVP this year. I think he'll have a strong season. Even if they lost Diggs, I think he was a distraction. I think the offense will have a lot to prove, specifically Josh Allen, and I think they will prove it. I think the defense is still strong with players like Matt Milano and Rasul Douglas, some of the same old guys and vets that they got. I think they'll win it again. I think the second place team in this division will be the New York Jets. I think they'll vie for a wild card spot. I think they'll be good this year. Aaron Rodgers is going to come back from his injury. The offensive line is better. I think they drafted and added some players. So I think the offense will be better. They still got good players at receiver and running back, I think. The defense was strong last year. They added Hassan Reddick, so I think the defense will be better. I think this will be a very competitive team. I think they'll be very good. In third place in this division, I have the Miami Dolphins. I like this team. This is one of my favorite teams. But I think they lost to good teams with a winning record last year. And they started off strong last season but declined at the end. I think that trend of their decline will continue. I really like Tyreek Hill. I think he's a really explosive plus player. And they got some stars on defense and Jalen Ramsey, Calais Campbell, but I just see their decline continuing for whatever reason it may be. And I think obviously the last place team in this division, the fourth place team in the AFC East, will be the New England Patriots. I think the offense is bad. There's question marks at quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. It's just a lack of playmakers. I think the defense is good. They got Matthew Judon and some other good players. I think they'll be good. They'll keep them alive and competitive in some of the games, but overall I think this will be a last place year for the Patriots. Moving on to the AFC North. It's got to be the Ravens again. I mean, I think the Ravens will win it. I think the Baltimore Ravens will be number one. I feel like that combination of Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson, they just win so many games. They added Derrick Henry. They still got Mark Andrews, and I think Zay Flowers is an up-and-coming player. I think the offense will be really good. They were in the AFC Championship game last year. I don't see any reason for them to decline. It's a similar defense, and it was strong last year. So I think they'll be right there at number one. I think they'll be very competitive. At number two in the AFC North, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. I do like the Bengals. They were in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. I think Joe Burrow will be back and healthy. And I think the stars that were requesting trades like Higgins and Hendrickson will just stick around and play. I really believe in Joe Burrow. I think he's a great player, and I really want him to do well this year. I want the Bengals to do well, and I think that they will. In third place in this division, I have the Cleveland Browns. I think Watson and Chubb are coming off injuries, and they'll be good on O to lead them. The defense is still strong. They still got Myles Garrett, but I don't think they have enough to surpass the Bengals or the Ravens this year. And then in last place in this division, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know they've had a winning record like every year under Mike Tomlin or something like that. And I know they added Russell Wilson and Fields. But I think at wide receiver and running back and tight end is just too much of a question mark For the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't think they have the playmakers necessary to win games. I think the defense can still win them some games. They still got Watt. But I think this year will be different. I think the Steelers will be in last place in the division this year. So we got 2 more divisions to go. Next is the AFC South. I think this is an easy one. I think the Houston Texans will win the division. They added Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs to an already powerful offense. CJ Stroud coming off a really great season. They got a defensive-minded head coach, so I think the defense will be good as well. I think this team will win the division. At second place, a bit of a surprise, I have the Tennessee Titans. I know they lost Derrick Henry, and Will Levis is an unproven quarterback, but I like what they did. They added Tony Pollard, Tyler Boyd, and Calvin Ridley on offense. I think those are strong acquisitions. They already have DeAndre Hopkins, so I think the offense will be interesting. I think they'll make plays. And on defense, they added Snead, and they already got some good playmakers on defense to begin with. So I think, their acquisitions were very savvy. I think they'll be very well this year. In third place, I have the Indianapolis Colts. Their quarterback Richardson is going to be back coming off an injury. He was doing really well before he got hurt. I think they'll be okay. They still got Buckner on defense leading the way. But only for a third place finish. And then in last place, maybe a bit of a surprise, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just question the playmaking ability on offense. I know they got Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. He's a good quarterback. They lost Calvin Ridley. They don't have Zay Jones anymore. Travis Etienne is a good running back. I do think he'll score some touchdowns, but I just don't know if they have enough at tight end and wide receiver to put up a strong showing. They do got some good players on defense like Josh Allen and Cisco. I don't know. I just think they're due for a down year. I don't think they'll be there at the end. And then the last division that I'm going to predict, and the last division in the NFL, is the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to be in first place. They're going to win the division again. They still have Mahomes and Kelsey. They're the Super Bowl champs. They still have Chris Jones and McDuffie. They added Marquise Brown. I think they're better on offense. I still think they're going to be really good on defense even without Snead. It's Andy Reid leading the way. I don't think the rest of the division can compete with them. In second place, I have the LA Chargers for the sole reason that they got a new head coach, and he's a proven winner. And he's coming off a national championship victory with the University of Michigan. I think Justin Herbert will have a huge year. And I don't think the Raiders or Broncos will be able to pass up the Chargers for second. With that being said, I think the Raiders will be in third. They lost Josh Jacobs, but they still got Devontae Adams and Max Crosby, some stars. I don't think they'll have a good year, but I think they'll be in third because the Broncos are pretty bad. They'll be in fourth place. The Broncos, I put them with the Patriots and Panthers. They just have a lack of playmakers on offense and defense. And that's pretty much everybody. I predicted the division winners and ranked every team. Hope you guys check out my videos. I'm going to be picking every regular season game for the upcoming 2024 season. Hopefully I get most of them right. And thank you very much. Hope you guys subscribe, like, do all that good stuff.